Member for Abbotsford West.
Horrific emergency room wait times. Delays in cancer care that are, quite frankly, costing people their lives. Ambulances that take hours upon hours to get to seriously injured people. More and more families left without a family physician. Every time the health minister is confronted by the deplorable and worsening state of BC's healthcare system, he does two things. First of all, he denies there's a problem. And secondly, he points to mythical budget cuts to healthcare under the previous government. Mr. Speaker, for the record,
Let's hear the question, members. Thank you, members.
Between 2001 and 2017, the healthcare budget doubled from $10 billion to $20 billion, Mr. Speaker. It went up every single year. Quite frankly, I'm getting tired of the health minister manufacturing phony facts to explain away the deplorable state of healthcare that has been created under his watch and this government's watch. The only actual budget cut this minister needs to explain is the one that he and his ministry signed off on to cut funding to BC's retinal specialists by 32%, Mr. Speaker, and as a result, 25,000 British Columbians are in jeopardy of being impacted by this cut. Will the minister confirm that it was his ministry that signed off on a unilaterally imposed 32% cut to the retinal specialists in British Columbia, and that as a result, they are withdrawing from a program which will mean that British Columbian patients, 25,000 of them, will be obliged to pay for that service if they want to get it?
Minister of Health.
Well, thank you very much, Honourable Speaker. And I would say, first of all, that in terms of nursing, we added 6,500 nurses in BC last year. I just want to... These are numbers from the college, Honourable Speaker. First year, the Leader of the Opposition was Minister of Health. The year started with 42,122 registered nurses in BC. It ended with 40,712. Then it went down to 40,149. The only health minister in history to cut registered nurses in British Columbia. Now, Honourable Speaker.
Members.
Now, Honourable Speaker. The ophthalmological division of the doctors of BC has made proposals to change tariffs. This is not a cut in the resources being assigned, not $1, Honourable Speaker. The member will know that retinal surgeons, and this is the issue that the doctors of BC have been raising for some time, on average, bill to MSP $2.8 million a year per, right? That's the average amount. And so the ophthalmological division has made a proposal to bring changes. It's our intention to continue. These services are free to British Columbians. They'll continue to be free to British Columbians. And of course, we're working with specialists and with ophthalmologists in BC to ensure that BC continues to have these services provided for people. That's not going to change. It's not going to change before April 1st. It's not going to change after April 1st. We're determined to do this, and I think the actions of the doctors of BC are reasonable actions, and we're working with them and with all doctors in BC to make sure that people keep getting access to services, and they will.
Abbotsford West supplemental.
Mr. Speaker, the minister wants to avoid one inconvenient fact and is wrong on a second fact. He wants to ignore the fact that the 32% cut to the retinal specialists could not and would not have been made. That proposal to the Tariff Commission could not and would not have been made without the acquiescence of he and his ministry, Mr. Speaker. That's the first thing. The second thing he wants to try and pretend in the House today is that it'll be business as usual after March the 31st. His ministry sent a letter, Mr. Speaker, to those retinal specialists asking how many of them would continue in the program to allow for business to continue as usual. Not one of them has agreed, Mr. Speaker, to do that in the face of that 32% cut. As a result, there is nothing this minister can do to control the behavior of those doctors once they have withdrawn from the program, and that is scheduled to happen in 2 weeks. When that happens, Mr. Speaker, patients will be obliged to write checks, which is not something they've had to do for many, many years, in order to receive treatment that will prevent them from going blind. The minister has it within his control to address this issue, to reverse a 32% cut that was instituted under his watch. Will he do that?
Minister of Health.
Honourable Speaker, we're acting in the interests of BC patients. That's what this is about. As, by the way, are BC doctors, Honourable Speaker, in addressing these issues. Of course, we're working with all the parties to ensure, Honourable Speaker, that British Columbians are not affected. That's the role of the Ministry of Health and the Minister of Health. But I would say this, Honourable Speaker, that in this case, as the member will know, this is not a 32% cut. There's not a single thing being cut from this budget. This is a discussion of tariffs, and the member will know $2.8 million, the median income on MSP, Honourable Speaker. In other words, Honourable Speaker, average income is the equivalent of 6 oncologists, Honourable Speaker, right, for each one. And so there is a discussion, a legitimate discussion around payment, which is going on in BC. And we're taking action, working with the whole community of people who are ophthalmologists in BC to ensure that British Columbians continue to get the free service they deserve, and they will.